Thought I'd come on and share some reflections about today. I am back home in our little garden apartment. I'm just sitting outside and it's such a beautiful evening again. I'm enjoying that cool breeze. It's lovely. And I'm just reflecting on really the last few days and also today. So today was day 5 of the breathwork training. And it's just been so much learning in this time, or during this time. From the breathwork side of things, each breathwork session has been really powerful in its own way. I feel like I've had so many shifts, somatic shifts, that's been amazing. And there's not been any somatic shifts that felt overwhelming or intense or scary or anything like that. I didn't have any moments where I felt there was a shift that felt at a point where wasn't welcome, if that makes sense. And yet at the same time, I've had so many moments where I've had tears of joy, of gratitude, of feeling brave, of thanks, so many things. So I've had, one of the days I had my family come up for me in the breathwork and just felt a real deep compassion and love towards them in a way that I've not felt before. Today I had a very powerful morning session where I felt a connection to all the teachers that I've had in my life that have inspired me and stay with me. People who have made me the professional I am, who have shown me what it means to be an embodied professional, what it means to stick to your values, your ethics, your beliefs, what it means to really hold spaces for people. So that was beautiful today, that I felt this strong connection with many of the teachers I've worked with who mean so much to me. And then I've had other shifts, like on the first day, I just felt this really strong, that was probably the strongest breathwork experience I've had, where I just felt this powerful connection to myself in a way I've never felt. And so much emotion came out, but it felt like pure joy. And certainly that the kind of thread has been the theme that I know I'm where I'm supposed to be. I know what my purpose is. I know how important it is to continue advocating and championing trauma-informed practice and holding spaces that feel supportive and inclusive and safe enough. And that means considering the language that I use, the way I hold the space, inclusivity, everything, all of that. I've also been inspired to really reassess how I hold spaces and maybe bring in other language, other approaches. Maybe I can create even safer spaces where people can feel connected to their bodies, where they can be who they are, feel seen, feel heard, be in choice. And yet, in these group spaces, because that's kind of the main thing that I do, acknowledge the fact that there's a shared accountability and understanding of how we jointly hold that space. Really thinking about not re-traumatizing, thinking about what we share, how we share it, being able to cry and just be held by those in that space without having to explain or defend or resist. So there's been a lot of reflection. I've been journaling throughout. I haven't journaled in a while, so that's been amazing to journal throughout. But yeah, every day I've had a new moment of insight, a new moment of connection to my body. And it has been filled with kind of joy and compassion and this strong feeling of I'm where I'm supposed to be right now. Very anchored in myself. And that's a beautiful thing, because it's not always been like this. I've had many moments where I've really struggled. I've not felt settled. I've not felt balanced. I've not felt anchored. I've been going through my own trauma stories and my own trauma journey and struggling. Yeah, because I'm human. So it's been beautiful to feel almost like all my hard work is paying off. I'm in a place where I feel the most balanced I've ever been, the most regulated. And I say regulated with caution, because dysregulation can be very healthy. We don't always have to be all relaxed and chilled. It's not healthy. We're allowed to feel angry. We're allowed to show emotions. We're allowed to express ourselves. And I'm a very fiery person. And I wouldn't be myself if I wasn't able to have my voice heard and express myself. Yeah. And then today was really interesting because yesterday we worked with the throat and the voice. And that was amazing because I love working with the voice. I think it's such an important part of being a human, to be able to express our needs and understand them and teach people how to treat us and say no and all these things and create spaces where we feel safe. And of course, that's always very individual, because what might feel safe for one person doesn't for the other. So it's about us really also somatically tuning into what do I need? What could be activating for me? What are my boundaries? How can I set them in healthy but fierce ways? And how can I be more compassionate with myself as well, that I'm only human, I'm doing my best. So yeah, that was, yes, it was really powerful. And then today, so last night, I kind of posted that Giada and I were drawing cards in the evening. And for me, the boundary card came up a few times and the joy card, which makes complete sense. The universe clearly knows what's going on. And these are topics I've been working with very actively, proactively recently in particular. And since doing my compassionate mind training and understanding more how important it is to practice self-respect and self-compassion, and that can be fierce, it can be strong, it's not all kind and lovely, because really it comes down to listening to your heart and your body and your mind and thinking, what are my needs? Again, how can I teach others how to treat me? How can I make sure that I feel I'm seen, I'm not judged, I'm not misunderstood, I'm not questioned. I can be me. And there's always going to be spaces where people judge you and question you. I mean, that's human, right? We all do that, consciously or unconsciously. But there's something quite beautiful that when you start working actively with that compassion and you really embody it, I've certainly experienced that it makes me more, as I said, more anchored, more clear, more balanced, and more able to express my needs really clearly. Now, there's moments where sometimes we can be reactive, and that can then bring up a lot of shame and guilt and anger afterwards. That's not a great place to be. We're only human, though, and that's where the compassion comes in to say, well, I'm kind of doing my best. But there's also the part where so there's two parts to it. Sometimes we have to just spontaneously in a moment take action and set a boundary. And that can be really difficult because in that moment we're often a little bit activated, we're a little bit in the threat. We may even just feel uncomfortable, and yet we have to take action based on our values, our self-respect, our principles. Sometimes it's really needed. And then we just do the best we can in that moment. And I always think that the key thing is to take a moment to really check in with myself, take my time when I'm expressing verbally what I'd like to express, because sometimes I can be a little bit quick. So maybe take a breath or two if that feels okay. Gently and clearly express myself. Maybe even pause or take a moment. And another thing for me is just being curious and asking questions. So if something doesn't feel safe and I feel like I need to set a boundary, maybe asking questions before I just make a decision to set that boundary, being curious, exploring, and not just asking a question and accepting the answer, because I've done that so often in the past where I felt a bit activated. I wouldn't go so far as to say fully dysregulated, but activated. And I felt in my gut, because you can really feel it, right? I need to set a boundary right now. But in that moment, maybe not quite sure how I'm going to do that, or if I need to even. I'm just feeling something. So I think in that moment, it is about kind of taking that step back and questioning it. And questioning, if you have someone you can ask questions as well, so clarifying things. Did I understand that correctly? What can I expect? What does that mean? Before being sure that you really need to set a boundary. Because I've had moments, I don't know about you, where I thought I had interpreted something in a certain way, but then actually when I asked the questions, it wasn't that at all, and I didn't need to set a boundary. And then there's been other times where, yeah, I've asked a question, I've got a response, and I've just pushed through, and I should have set a boundary. And then other moments where I've just kept asking as much as it felt uncomfortable, really got clarity from the situation or the person so that I could make an informed decision about, do I want to do this or not? So do I need to set a boundary? Do I need to say, actually, this isn't for me? Or this doesn't align with my values? Whatever that may look like. Yeah. Boundaries is a big topic. It's a really big topic. And I guess why I'm bringing this up is today I needed to set a really fierce boundary. And I'm not going to go into the details of that. But I needed to set a fierce boundary. And yes, it felt uncomfortable. And yes, initially I wasn't sure, do I need to set this boundary? But I could feel something in my soma. So I could feel my chest tightening a little bit. My stomach was slightly tense. I could feel my throat area feeling a little bit activated. Nothing crazy, but I could feel something. Felt a little bit off and uncomfortable. And I also felt uncomfortable having to then clarify if I should set a boundary or not by asking questions. But I still did it, and I'm really proud of myself. And I think these are moments we have to say I've been brave, and I'm proud of myself for asking those questions, for clarifying, and then ultimately realizing, yes, I do need to set a boundary. And I did. And after I'd set that boundary, I felt really proud of myself. I felt empowered. I felt grateful that I'd set the boundary. I could feel literally my soma soften. My throat felt softer. My jaw softened. My shoulders relaxed. So it was definitely the right thing to do. But yes, it felt uncomfortable. And yes, of course, it went through my mind for a moment. Oh my gosh, should I really ask this? Is this just being difficult? Is this justified? But I still did it. And I think sometimes we have to just trust our body, trust our gut, especially when it comes to boundaries, and really live these embodied boundaries, not just kind of reactive, volatile boundaries that leave us with so much other emotional baggage that comes after that guilt, that shame, that unpleasantness, because we're only human. And we often go inward and blame ourselves, right? Again, that compassionate lens. We should just realize we're only human. But compassion also teaches us we need to practice fierce compassion, because we are worthy of respect. We are worthy of being heard and witnessed. We are worthy of being able to create safe enough spaces for us. And that, again, is such a personal thing. It may not even be that space isn't safe. It's just we in that moment maybe don't feel as safe as we can be. Or maybe our nervous system is activated for whatever reason. So anyway, that was my takeaway today. That was my big reflection point. Boundaries matter. Fierce boundaries are healthy. And it's okay to have your voice heard. And I think as we worked with throat yesterday, today I was feeling anyway very empowered in my kind of throat chakra and in my body to really express myself and use my voice. And that definitely also contributed to me really being very vocal about my needs and my boundaries today. Yeah, so there we go. So why am I sharing this? And I've been waffling on for ages. I am sharing this because I always like to, as you know, if you've been following me, I like to capture moments in time and share my learning with a lot of honesty in saying that I am constantly myself navigating this crazy life. I'm not perfect, far from it. Every day I need to do my practices to keep myself balanced, grounded. I need to keep setting boundaries so that my nervous system, my autonomic nervous system, keeps feeling safe when I set those boundaries, because it didn't used to. Often things that are healthier and more helpful for us feel unsafe and feel uncomfortable. And our nervous system reacts with threat because it's things, it's patterns that we've been repeating all our lives. Not helpful ones, but they are patterns. So yeah, I need to keep doing that. And this is a good way to stay accountable and also to remind others. Compassion isn't just about being nice. And not setting our boundaries, not expressing ourselves and our needs, hopefully in a regulated way, which means being calm, being assertive, being clear. That's what I mean by regulated. Or in a way that doesn't feel so overwhelming for our body, because that's not helpful either. And I guess that's a learning thing as well. We all have to work out what feels right or doesn't. That's taken years, and I'm still learning how my body works and what's helpful and what's not. But once you have that wisdom, I say wisdom and knowledge, it is about, reminding yourself. You should be able to have your voice heard. You should be able to be witnessed. You should be able to set your boundaries. You should be able to say no to things. And you know what? The people in your life that you want in your life will respect you for that. They will honor you for setting a boundary. And those that don't, there's learning in that as well. But I try not worry about that so much anymore. Maybe it's the older I'm getting. Just like, you know what, the people in my life that are close to me in particular, or in spaces where I've set boundaries, where I felt heard and witnessed and honored, I respect them so much more. And there's a connection, I'm grateful, and I feel respected. And those that don't, I just think, well, they're on their own path, and there's learning in that. And they're often then people that I will not reconnect with. And that's okay too. We don't always need to be liked. I know we want to, but we don't always need to be liked. There's always going to be someone that thinks we're not their cup of tea. And that's okay. Because I don't know about you, but I'm the same. There's lots of people that I'm like, they're not my cup of tea. Don't really align with them. They're not a bad person or anything, but just don't align. So yeah, there we go. So that's my message, my learning, my reflection, but also my message and my hope for you. Use your voice. Take up space. Set boundaries wherever possible from a regulated nervous system state, and listening to your body, and making an informed choice on whether you need to set a boundary, right? So remember, ask those questions, check. And after anything that's happened like that, where you need to set a really fierce boundary, unfortunately, I don't know about you, but for me, there's not that many big moments. But when I do need to, take the time afterwards to praise yourself for being brave, to challenge any of those thoughts that pop in, like the inner critic that says, oh, you shouldn't have said that or done that. Challenge it and go, no, I spoke my truth. I said what I had to say, and however that person or that group or whatever reacted, you let your voice be heard. And that's so important. So there we go. That's a big and deep and very long reflection of my day. Tomorrow's the last day, day 6. It'll be really interesting to see how it all ends. There's so much I'm taking away. I feel I'll need to really sit with it when I get back to Edinburgh. I'm back on Thursday. I think I need to sit with it and reflect and see how I can integrate all this learning into my work, but also into my body. And yeah, I'm going to trust that the universe will show me the way, as always. Okay, I'm going to do one more thing before I go. So I got these beautiful cards from dear Giada. And these were the cards that we were looking at yesterday. And I thought I would live here quite bravely, because bravery is a thing. Pick some cards, yeah. So they all have a message. There's words like boundaries on there, joy, all sorts. So let me see where this takes me. Okay, so I'm just kind of mixing them up, and I'm looking at the screen, so I'm not looking at the cards. Okay, what I'm going to do is just hold them for a moment. And my question is, to the cards and to the universe, what do I need to know right now? What do I need to know right now? I'm just going to mix them up and then just pick one. Usually I spread them out, but I'm just going to do this today. What do I need to know right now? Okay, I've got one. And 2. Oh, okay, let's see what the cards have to say. Oh my gosh. I've got worth and alignment. Okay, let me read this to you. I don't have my glasses, so hopefully I can read this. God, it's getting a little bit windy. So the worth card. Worth is not something you earn. Outcomes do not define your value. Recognition can come and go. This does not change who you are. Holding your worth steadies you. You are enough as you are. Oh my gosh. So beautiful and so aligned. And then talking about alignment, here's my alignment card. Okay. Alignment brings you back to what feels true. It reflects how your values meet your choices. Gentle adjustments can restore balance. Not everything needs to be forced. Movement feels easier when you are aligned. Ease is a quiet signal you are close. Oh my gosh. Thank you, universe. Thank you, cards. And thank you for those of you that have been watching and listening. This ended up being a really long post, but I just thought I'd bring you into my little world and my space. I hope you're all well. I'd love to hear your reflections and your thoughts. How do you manage boundaries? How do you stay aligned? How do you teach others how to treat you? Yeah, and how do you make sure you keep learning along the way and growing? Because that's what life is all about. Learning and growing. None of us are perfect. Let's just have that really put out there. None of us are perfect. Even if we sometimes think we are not. We're just learning. Okay. I'm going to just relax here in the garden. I may just lie in the grass because it's such a beautiful evening. I don't want to go inside because it's such a gift to have this amazing weather. Even though it's 34 degrees, it's crazy. Yeah. So yeah, take care of yourselves, people. We've only got one life. We've only got one body. And the more we can learn to work with that body, that mind, that heart, the more balance we can find, the more stillness, the more we can be as authentic as we can be and as aligned as we can be, which is surely important. Okay. I'm going to go. Thank you for joining me. It was really fun pulling the cards. I was a little bit nervous. I noticed I was a little bit activated thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to pull? But actually these were perfect. Worth and alignment. Worth and alignment. Beautiful. Okay. Take care, everyone. I hope the sun is shining where you are. I hope you're well. And little reminder. My name is Corey. I am the face of my brand Koa and Koa Unplugged the podcast. And I'm so passionate about nervous system regulation, working with the soma, the body, and empowering others to navigate this crazy life. Because working with the soma and with nervous system resources, that has saved me, and that's why I do this. Yeah. Okay, everyone, take good care. Have a beautiful morning, afternoon, or evening wherever you are.